What I'd like to do in this series is to continue our talk on muscles and shoulders in this particular case and how they work and some exercises to do. First thing we look about shoulders is we have to look about the size that they are. Your shoulders are not really a big muscle, so you really don't have to do a lot of exercises to get them well developed. For years, what we used for shoulder exercises was the behind the neck press. The problem with that was it impinges the joint where the shoulder goes. So what we try to do is find an exercise that works this whole shoulder like a compound exercise, like a bench press, that we can use for just the shoulders. What the physical therapists come up with is to find the neutral position of the shoulders is about here. So this is what the neutral position of the shoulders are. So now the shoulder can rotate freely within the shoulder joint. The other thing we have to look at is in the old days, we used what was called an Arnold press. Arnold pushed up like this. But really he was right, because what the shoulders do is when they go out, they rotate. Your arm rotates when you go out. So Arnold said, let's do the shoulder press. So now we have the shoulders in the neutral position, and we have the elbows coming down, and then we go up this way. This keeps the shoulder in the proper position, also working all the shoulder. And we want the shoulder muscles in a straight line. So next we go to, for instance, the side lateral. We get to the side of the shoulder. What we're looking at when we do the sides, the front, and the rear part of the shoulders, if we're going to do them independently, we have to have them in a straight line. The muscle works in a straight line. So for side of the shoulders, we know the straight line is with the muscle attached here to come up this way. The problem is guys try to use too much weight and they throw and use momentum, which uses their lower back. So what we try to do is we suggest you put your wrist down somewhat and then pull up to the side. Go all the way down and all the way up to the side. And this you'll see in our shoulder demonstration exercise. Now we come to rear delts. The rear delt moves the elbow, remember the shoulders are attached to the elbow, back above this parallel line. So what we have to do with the rear deltoids is make sure that this is above parallel, whether we use cables or whether we use dumbbells. Then we get to the front part of the shoulders. Now, the best way to do the front part of the shoulders, now I don't necessarily think you need so much front shoulders, because remember you do shoulders whenever you do any kind of pressing motions, bench presses, shoulder presses, and the front part of the shoulders doesn't really need that much work. But when you do it, you want to have your arm, the same thing as shoulder straight line, but you want to have your thumb pointed up when you do it. So you have your thumb pointed up and come up with the shoulder. Now, the last exercise that we would do possibly in a shoulder routine is your traps. When I do traps and suggest to do traps, I have the shoulders come straight up, or the traps come straight up. Because when you start to get into a rolling motion, which the traps come up and they go back, you need to really be careful because you use too much weight, so we just use the traps to go straight up. Now the traps can be worked either during the shoulder routine, and some people like to do them in the back routine. Keep in mind when you do shoulders, in a small muscle, we do them after bench press, and that'll be covered in the article more, because after you do chest, your shoulders are already pre-exhausted, so you can not do so much and still get a lot more out of it. And when we do shoulders, make sure the form is perfect. We're not trying to do a lot of weight, we're trying to do perfect form. If you have any questions, you have my email address, www.fredkoch.com is where you'll find all this information. Thank you very much for your time.